We are over by one of my favorite animals in the collection, Gemsbok antelope. They're actually kind of widely dispersed in Africa, but mostly Namibia and southern Africa. There's a subspecies, base oryx, over in East Africa, which if you haven't seen them separately, you'd hardly know the difference. But this is our herd, and we're trying to grow it. And it looks like we're going to grow it.
They're working on it for sure.
Yeah. How do you find managing the Gemsbok?
Overall, they're a really great species to manage. They're definitely not one that's comfortable with us being too close. Of course, again, they're another prey species, so they tend to keep their distance. In terms of if we have to do anything that's up close and personal, like a medical procedure or need to move them, they can definitely be one of our scarier antelope to work with. They are fighters and they are good at it, but you got to respect that because they got to do that to survive.
They're amazing, actually, when you try and move them. If you have them in a barn, and let's say you want to put them on a trailer to relocate them, if you can get them out of their stall and running down the alleyway into the trailer the first time,
that's the trick.
You go, wow, that was easy. If for any reason they don't want to come out of that stall, or they run halfway down the alleyway and turn around, it's just going to be a fight. So usually you have a couple people pushing shields, and it takes a bit of courage. Mm-hmm. We've never had a problem doing that, but
yeah, and they're not one of the endangered species. Okay. They're least concern, and right now their populations are pretty stable in the wild, which is great. Still an amazing animal to display, though, because they're absolutely beautiful, and they have just these incredible temperaments where they have the flight reaction like an antelope, but if they're feeling threatened or they feel they need to push back, they will fight, and they will most likely win.
We have in the oryx family, we have the adax, which is an endangered species.
Yep.
Scimitar horned oryx, an endangered species. The Gemsbok, which are not endangered, as Erica said a few moments ago, are all desert species.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because they all have a lot of different adaptations to the desert, where most of those are bright white animals. The one cool thing about the Gemsbok is they have that more almost purplish tint to their fur, but then their bellies are white because the desert they're typically found in has a red sand, so the sun will actually reflect off of that onto their bellies, so that's where most of the warmth is absorbed. So they have that white coloration to keep themselves cool on their bellies.
How about their drinking habits?
They are a species that can go their entire lives without drinking. A lot of the food they would be eating in the wild has such a high moisture content that they're able to absorb that moisture from the food. That being said, here they get fed the grass hay and silo diet that most of our other antelope get fed as well. So it's not that same moisture content. So we definitely see them going to waters and are watering holes that are in their exhibits.
I've seen Gemsbok in the Kalahari Desert, and there really isn't anything in sight to eat. I don't know where they find it, what they find. I know one of them is a tuber.
Yeah, they can dig.
That has a melon, and that they'll dig that tuber out of the ground and eat that melon, and that's one of their real sources of moisture.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool. Every once in a while we'll see that behavior here. I think it's just an innate behavior that they have where they will dig with those sharp hooves. Their hooves tend to be a little bit more pointed rather than rounded, so they're able to really dig at the ground and, of course, in the wild find that food that's hidden from everyone else.
Yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool.
They really are a cool species. They're definitely one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, well, they're just so magnificently colored.
They're beautiful and so different from other desert species.
I've just recently gotten back from New Mexico, the White Sands Missile Range, where New Mexico Fish and Game introduced Gemsbok in the 50s or the 60s.
Right.
and they introduced them thinking that they would be a good sporting animal for the hunters in New Mexico. Well, they've done very, very well, and they've expanded the missile range. And when they expand it, I mean, I think they've added 1 million acres to it.
Wow.
And I was on Ted Turner's ranch, which is adjoining the White Sands Missile Range.
Okay.
It's 80 miles long and 40 miles wide, one
Wow.
ranch. And there were a tremendous number of Gemsbok on that ranch.
Oh, that must have been amazing to see.
And I actually want to talk to Fish and Game and see if we can get some of those Gemsbok. And
Talk about increasing our genetic diversity.
well, that would be
a great
it.
way to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of my next moves.
Yeah, I've heard about the wild populations down there.
Yeah.
I've never seen them, but
Oh, it's there. I came around a corner one night, and there was a herd of about 50 of them coming
that's
over
so
this,
cool.
and I just wow.
yeah.
They were beautiful.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay, let's move on.